Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 55 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibby Gibson, who was laughing already during the music. What's going on, Gibbs?
I was trying to tell you I was going to do the intro.
Oh, you...
It was just some funny hand gesturing.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
And, yeah.
It's like you were trying to land a 747 over there. And then you started laughing.
You got me cracking up.
During the intro.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's a good sign, though.
I'm here.
In a good mood.
Yeah.
Laughing it up.
Do it up, man. Do it up.
So, what's been going on?
You know?
Work, and more work.
Work, and more work, man.
Well, we always got
Working
that.
a lot.
We got our first job, and then we got our second job.
That's right. And then there's this other job we do, too.
So Pedro, big on social media.
He is.
Sent us a tube of Vegemite.
Vegemite.
In the mail.
Yeah.
Through Amazon.
So it came from Amazon, not from Australia.
Well, it did come, he ordered it from Australia.
He ordered from Australia?
Through Amazon.
Hey, thank you, mate.
To Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it came in, I'd never seen it, right? Heard of it.
Right.
Heard it in songs, heard about it.
Yeah, Men at Work.
Came in a tube that looks like toothpaste.
Yeah. Did you spray it on a toothbrush?
No, I don't think you want to do that, brother. I did get up the courage to break the seal on it.
Yeah.
And it's got a little motor oil look to it.
Okay.
And then I got scared beyond that point. So I have not worked up the nerve to try it.
Squirt a little bit in your mouth, man.
I've not gotten up the nerve. I had somebody tell me to put it on grilled cheese, bread.
Get a little Ritz cracker out, put a little bit on.
That probably is the best way.
Toss it back and let it happen.
I don't know, man. It's I'm going to have to, because I like to try new things. I love to try. Like when I go to a restaurant, I'll just pick out the strangest thing they have.
Yeah.
That I've never had before.
Give it a whirl.
And I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
Now, 80% of the time that works out.
Yeah.
20% I just wasted my money. But
you have no problem experimenting, man.
With food, I like to try different types of food.
Everything. I know.
You were leaving that really open-ended.
I was just talking about your college years, but that's okay.
All right, Gibbs, let's get into our new Patreon supporters. We had Scott Mackin jumped out our highest level.
He ain't slacking.
Nikki Hyen. Guy Hale.
He's our meteorologist.
That's a perfect name, man, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Michael Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan's brother.
Yep, Jack Ryan. K. Cole. Double A.
I like that. Double A.
And I don't know what that means.
What if their middle initial was A, they give you triple A?
No, because then it would be double AA.
I gotcha.
It actually says the word double.
It's
not just AA.
I thought you were just saying AA.
No.
It's double A.
Yeah, it actually says double A.
Double A. Whoa. Hello, double A.
Not 9 volt, not double AA.
9 volt. That'd be a good one.
That would be.
Yeah.
That'd be a good superhero name.
Or a rap name.
9 volt.
What up, 9 volt?
We had Lauren Radburn.
Yeah.
Stacy Graff. Amanda Riley. Sophie Leffler.
Leffler? Like muffler?
No, there's no U.
Like someone left her?
There's no M. It's Leffler.
Leffler.
Lana Clayton. Last time I said Lana, so I'm covering myself.
I noticed that. You're
Both
just like
ways.
going all the way across, making sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alyssa.
Just Alyssa.
Just Alyssa.
Because you can do that.
Pamela Coburn. Michelle Hallett.
A lot of social media peeps.
Yep.
I keep saying that. I know.
Janine Jacoby.
I like that. Jacoby.
Nicole Egglestone.
I keep thinking it sounds like a really famous name for some reason.
And then Tara Murphy. So a lot of cool names.
Sure.
A lot of unusual spellings of names.
Yeah.
Like even Tara spelled Terah. I don't think I've ever seen that. Really cool.
I don't think I have either.
And then if we go back into the vault, Gibbs.
Back in time.
Back in time. Back to the future. I've selected Kate Melb.
Yeah, Kate.
Kate's been with us, a long-time supporter.
Really appreciate that.
So huge shout out to her and a big shout out to all of our new Patreon supporters and the people that continue to support us month after month.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It really allows us to keep doing what we're doing, putting out this content. And then on PayPal, we had a lot of new support this month as well. We had Aaron Padilla, Cheryl
Madalazzo.
Whitney Queen,
Yeah.
Don Rappet.
You sure?
Last time I said Rapet, so I'm
So you're
changing it up.
Changing it up. I really jacked you up, man. Your confidence levels went down ever since I
This
started
is my new system.
messing with you.
This is my new system. I say it one way on TCAT
The other way.
and the other way on TCAT Unsolved, and it'll probably be the third way
Yeah.
that is actually right.
At least you're trying to cover your bases.
Yep. We had Mihan Lance,
Yeah, Mihan.
and Mihan was kind enough to actually email me and spell it out
You
phonetically.
wouldn't have figured it out by looking at it?
No.
Okay.
No, I probably would have gone Mihan.
Mihan.
Yep. Why do you keep saying words funny?
What do you mean? I'm just saying them.
And then we had Donnie Reed.
Yeah.
So big thanks. Big thanks to all the PayPal supporters as well.
Appreciate it. Big time.
And then want to talk about CrimeCon real quick, Gibbs. You and I are going to be there.
I think I'm going.
I think you're going too. We
Yeah.
were there last year. We had a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people.
They said they may not let me come back because of what we did. But
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. I just can't do that ever again.
Yeah. Well, we're in a different city, so
That's true. That's true.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Nashville. But if anybody is thinking about going to CrimeCon, if you're on the fence, and I think we actually have a voicemail, Gibbs, from somebody that's thinking about maybe doing their honeymoon.
Really? Let's hear it.
We'll play it later.
Oh, we'll play it later.
We play voicemails at the end.
Well, you just kind of setting it up like you wanted to play it now.
No, I'll
so-
play it later.
Okay.
But if you're thinking about going, I would say go for it.
I would too.
It is a really cool
And
experience.
if you're going to get married while you're there, let me stand up for you.
Well, I think they've already gotten married,
Oh,
but
what are they going to do it for again?
maybe honeymoon.
Oh, honeymoon?
Yeah.
Well, I can't stand up for that. That's not right. What?
Yeah, and you can't stand in for that either because that's not going to
That
work.
won't be good either.
That's not gonna work.
I just give you a high five and say, "Go get him, Tiger."
Exactly. But if you're thinking about going, CrimeCon's given us a promo code. Use TCAT when you sign up for CrimeCon.
Yes.
They'll give you 10% off your the price of your badge.
Double T.
Double T at the end. And don't forget to check out True Crime All the Time this week. We're ending up the Richard Ramirez story, part 2. It's the last one, we promise. And, 1 was rough. 2 is even rougher
Very much so.
with the details. The level that Ramirez went to and the lack of any semblance of caring about humanity in any sense of the word. It just blows me away how anyone can be like that and do the things he did.
He's one disturbed individual.
Yep, he really was. So check that out. Now, getting into True Crime All the Time Unsolved.
Yes,
We're talking about an actor,
we are.
Albert Dekker. We actually have a new researcher
We do.
this week.
Yes.
Little help
Got a little help. I needed some help, and I got some help.
in the form of Lindsay Skolaric. And Lindsay has been one of our biggest supporters since we first started the podcast.
She really has, and she was our first voicemail ever.
Yep, she was. I remember that.
Yeah, so definitely appreciate her help putting this together.
Yep, and offered to do some research on this case for us and some writing, and it's much appreciated. So I definitely wanted to give her a lot of credit. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate what Lindsay did.
So Albert Dekker, also known as Thomas Albert Eck van Dekker.
Eck van Dekker.
That is a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. You got it out though.
I did. I don't think I messed that up.
Yeah.
He was born December 20th, 1905 in Brooklyn.
Way before me.
Yeah, a little bit before you.
Yeah. Just got to get that out there.
Born in Brooklyn, New York, and he would be found dead May 5th, 1968 in Hollywood, California. He was 62 years old at the time of his death. Albert was an only child, born to Thomas and Grace Eck van Dekker.
You got to say it strong.
Eck van Dekker. I can't say it like you say it. I don't have the skills that you have vocally.
That's true.
So I'm
Yeah.
at a disadvantage there.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll let you off the hook.
All right. And we don't have a lot, Gibbs, on Albert's very early years, but as he got into high school, he started to become very active in the drama club.
Just like you.
Just like me. Not really, but
Pippin?
I don't even think my school had a drama
I
club.
thought you were in Pippin.
No.
I thought you played Pippin. Huh. Was it Poppin?
I think you played Mary Poppins.
I played her well. Thank you very much.
No, I don't even think my school had a drama club. If it did, I wasn't aware of it. But my school didn't have a lot of things. Back then we didn't have lacrosse.
You would have
and
been in Glee if they had one.
swimming and
Because you're a good singer.
what is Glee? Like the show?
Glee Club.
Is that where you put on plays? How's that different
No, that's
than
where you just stand up with your fellow Glees. And you
Is that what they call them?
no,
I don't think so.
your fellow classmate. Well, I don't know what they are, but whatever. You stand up together and you sing a song, but there's no instruments. You
Like a cappella?
whatever the differences
Was it
are
like
in
Pitch
voices.
Perfect?
Yes, exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, how is that different than choir?
more people in choir.
I don't know. I guess I don't understand what Glee Club is. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Because what you're describing sounds a lot like choir to
It's a little bit different.
me. Okay.
Yeah, it's more competitive.
More competitive. But he got into drama club. He started to get into, all of these productions. And after graduation, he would attend college in Brunswick, Maine, and would study pre-med. He was going to be a doctor.
Like myself.
He's just like you.
Yeah. Scalpel, please.
Oh my God. That's the scariest thing you've said since we started this podcast. The image just went through my head of you in scrubs in a mask, holding your hand out and having a scalpel slapped in it.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
The only other scarier thing for you if you heard that snapping sound of the rubber glove going.
Well, that's always scary. But he would change his mind. Off of this pre-med track, a friend talked to him about pursuing acting. And he had been passionate about it in high school. And he just made the decision that he was going to go for it.
That's great, man.
Yeah, he was going to follow his passion instead of probably what he thought most people thought he should do or what was expected of him.
What was your passion at time of graduation?
Actually, I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah?
I really did. And then I figured out there was no way I was going to make it in school that long.
Right.
I mean, if you're talking passion, it was probably sports. I
Yeah.
was really into sports.
So at that time you wanted to do anything to be like the next level of that sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
did they have actually frisbee golf higher than
They,
high school?
they didn't. I couldn't get a scholarship for frisbee golf.
Right.
I wasn't quite good enough.
Yeah.
So
It's difficult,
It
it's
is.
a tough game. So at least you had some skills.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Frolf.
Yeah.
And what's kind of amazing about Albert Dekker is that in just a few months' time of making this decision that he's going to go, full steam ahead into his passion of acting, he gets featured in the Broadway production of Eugene O'Neill's play Marco Millions.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Eugene O'Neill, huge playwright, and Albert Dekker is 21 years old. And Albert would get his first movie role in a movie titled The Great Garrick. Never heard of that.
Me neither.
I think these are way before our time, Gibbs.
I haven't seen it on Turner Classic yet. I'll have to keep an eye out for it.
It's not popped up on your next flicks queue?
No, or Hulu and...
How many other? What's another one?
There's a lot of them out there, man.
I know, but it's more funny when you try to say
When I try to say them, I know what you're trying to do.
Because Hulu's the one you can say.
You're trying to trip me up.
That's the one you always go to because it's
Hulu.
It's the only one you can say.
Yeah, it's four letters.
And even that one you say kind of funky.
Hulu?
Yeah. Hulu?
Hulu.
But Albert Dekker's acting career, it would span 40 plus years. I mean, this guy was, a big time actor back in the day, very busy. He was a working actor. So we're talking movies, Broadway.
Love Broadway. I should have been on Broadway.
You should have been. I mean,
Seriously.
you got the chops.
I could have done it.
Why can't you do it now? They say you're never too old.
Sing, dance.
You're a triple threat.
I'm a triple threat. That's right.
Acting, singing, dancing.
Got it all. Got it all, baby.
English professor. And on Broadway, he was in big plays. I mean, we're talking about Death of a Salesman.
That's huge, man.
He played Willie Loman.
That's big time.
And during this 40-year career, he would end up with over 100 film credits. It's a lot.
That's a lot. Go out that, what is that? IBDM, IDB?
IMDb.
Yeah, that's that place. On the internet web there.
On the interwebs.
We can see how many credits he has.
I actually do use that a lot.
Do you? You like to look up things?
I do. And it's one of the reasons why I really like Amazon Prime, because they have it kind of built in if you hit the pause button.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had Amazon Prime or watch anything on it.
I've got it. I just haven't watched anything on it.
Especially like on my iPad. If I just hit the pause button, it'll come up with like all the characters that are in that scene.
Really?
And you just click on it.
And see what their work history was?
And it'll have trivia. It's really cool. I like that.
It's like pop-up video.
Yeah. From back in the day.
Back in the day.
That's old school.
It is.
And he played all kinds of roles, this Albert Dekker. He played villains. Some of his best films were The Killers, Dr. Cyclops, Kiss Me Deadly, East of Eden. And it would be in 1968, 62 years old, he would complete his final role. And it would be in a big movie. It's a Western. It's a classic, The Wild Bunch.
Man, that was, too. I was born, but I was only like 2 years old. But I did see it later in life. It was good.
Now, Albert was married to a woman named Esther Guarini for 35 years. She was a former actress, and they would end up divorcing in 1964. And during that time, they would have two sons together, John and Benjamin, and a daughter, Jan. In 1957, Dekker's career had kind of a resurgence. His career had picked up again after kind of a lull, but he got some really bad news. He was performing in Palm Beach, Florida, when he found out that his son, John, had shot himself with a .22 rifle in his right eye.
Man, that may be just terrible news.
I mean, that would be a horrific wound.
A 22, because that's going to just...
It's going to bounce around. And he was found by his mother, Albert's wife, and they ruled his death accidental.
So, I'm trying to think, you have a .22 rifle. How do you... I know they ruled it accidental. I'm just trying to think how you shoot yourself in the eye with a .22 rifle.
I think pretty easily.
You think? I mean,
yeah.
You're looking at down the barrel, playing with it, and accidentally not thinking it was loaded. That'd be the only reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're holding it down near the trigger and you accidentally went on. Because, I mean, to me, a .22 rifle is usually a little shorter.
Right.
So I think your arm can reach a little longer.
Yeah, but why are you got it turned towards you looking down the barrel?
Oh, that part I can't answer. Nobody should ever do that.
Right.
But if you're asking about the mechanics or could it be done, I think it could be done very easily.
Yeah, so it's no problem there. It's just, so they must have decided either...
He took his own life.
He took his own life, but they just put a positive spin on it. Or he was just messing around and they figured, he just goofing off and hit the trigger by accident.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere not that long ago, Gibbs, that more people die from 22s than any other caliber. But very tough to be, away from home, get that call.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to take.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever wants to lose their child. You know what I mean? You want to go before your kids go.
Oh,
So
for sure.
That's rough.
But Albert Dekker was a complicated man because he was an actor, but he was also in the California State Assembly from 1944 to 1946.
Wow.
So he held office, was in politics, but only for a couple years. Because I think he ended up quitting because he thought it was interfering with his acting career.
There's always been some politicians that were actors.
It seems like a big crossover.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Arnold.
And it's usually people that are actors first.
Yeah.
I mean, Reagan,
Clint Eastwood.
Sonny Bono.
Clint Eastwood.
It's kind of an actor, singer, actor.
Sonny Bono. Yeah. Would you ever go into politics?
Hell no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see the upside in it.
Yeah, I don't see you doing it either.
And it's too much scrutiny, and I'm not that kind of guy. I don't crave that type of power. I don't need it.
You get all the power right here.
I got the power.
Yeah, you're always using that power on me. Don't make me cut your mic off.
Because I control all the operation
That's
here.
right. You got all the
I
cool
can just
buttons.
cut you down.
That's right.
But there were some good things that he did while he was in politics, for those 2 years. He pushed for support for unwed mothers and indigent children. And during the McCarthy era, Albert Dekker was very outspoken. He was a critic of Joseph McCarthy's tactics. And because of that, he got blacklisted from Hollywood. And that happened to a lot of people.
It really did, man. That was a big deal back then. And it ruined a lot of people's careers.
I mean, a lot of people got it because they were thought to be communist sympathizers.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he got blacklisted just because he was speaking out against what they were doing to other actors.
Yeah. He challenged the authority.
My authority. So during that time, he worked on Broadway, and to make money, he also toured with an actress named Edith Atwater. Pretty famous actress. I mean, she was in movies like True Grit, Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Those are some big movies.
Big movies back in the day.
But what they would do is poetry readings.
Oh, kind of like what you and I used to do.
Yeah, but we did, what was that? We did poetry slams.
Yeah.
That's what you and I did as a duo.
When we did the poetry wars.
Yeah.
With other poetry
it's kind
people.
of like a rap battle with poetry.
Yeah. We did well.
Yeah, we were good at it.
We took some people down.
People are going to be like, man, Mike and Gibby really did that?
Yeah.
But they would travel all over. I mean, they would do it in New York. They would travel to London, do it over there. He would get booked for speaking engagements at colleges and different types of groups. And we talked about his career picking back up. And it does. And in 1959, he lands a big role in a movie called Suddenly Last Summer. And this had Katharine Hepburn in it.
Man, I love Katharine Hepburn.
And it doesn't get much bigger than Katharine Hepburn.
Man, the African Queen was one of my favorite movies. I could sit there and watch her and Bogart. The other day you were asking, what movie would you just stop and sit down on the couch and just watch? Mm-hmm. That's one. If it's on, if I catch it, I got to watch it.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
Uh-uh.
Man, it is good.
I have a rule that I don't watch any movie older than
Me?
like 1970.
Man, you got to watch it. It's good. It really is.
No, I say maybe 69. When did Easy Rider come out? I don't watch anything older than Easy Rider.
Easy Rider? That's probably in the 70s, Easy Rider.
I think it was late 60s.
Was it?
I think.
Something about with Fonda?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Dennis Hopper.
It might be 72. But
it was 68.
I'm just throwing dates out.
I know,
you, man.
we're just throwing dates. We don't know.
But
she was also in, I will tell you, I like Golden Pond, on Golden Pond.
Yeah, she was good in that, but you really got to watch African Queen, man.
Well, it's in black and white, though, isn't it?
Who cares?
That's my other rule. I don't watch black and white movies.
You got to watch it. It's amazing, man.
I know it's up there on the list of all-time movies.
Yeah.
I know it is.
You'll be captivated.
I'll watch it for you, man. I'll do it for you.
There you go.
But this Suddenly Last Summer was a very strange movie.
For the time, especially.
You're right. For the time, late 50s, it had themes involving homosexuality, which today wouldn't be strange at all. but it is combined with cannibalism.
Right. That's a strange twist back then.
In 1959?
59, that'd be a really strange twist.
Now, we talked about Dekker, getting divorced in 1964. He would be single for a while, but then he would get engaged to a woman named Geraldine Saunders. And she was a former fashion model, but she also wrote The Love Boat.
Man, I remember that. I didn't read any of the books, but I remember the
I didn't know it was
show.
a book.
Do you remember the theme song?
The Love Boat. Soon we'll be making another run.
I knew you would know that.
I used to watch that show.
You used to watch that, and then right after that, Fantasy Island came on.
I did love Fantasy Island, man.
With the little guy pointing at the plane.
Tattoo.
Yeah.
But I just thought The Love Boat was a show.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was based on a book.
Yeah, it was. It was a good show, though.
That was good.
I like watching it. I always like what's the bartender, Isaac.
Captain Steubing.
I always like Isaac, man.
Julie.
Making the drinks,
But it was around this time that Dekker started seeing a man. It was Dr. Max Jacobson, and he was known as Dr. Feelgood.
Kind of need a Dr. Feelgood sometimes.
And Dekker wasn't the only one seeing Dr. Feelgood, right? This was like a doctor that catered to celebrities because he would administer what he called vitamin cocktails. I'm using my air quotes, Gibbs.
I like when you do your air quotes that nobody can see.
That nobody can see. This was something designed to give his patients bursts of energy, allow them to stay up for days at a time, and make them feel good.
And he had some high-end celebrities.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about Elvis, Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
People like that allegedly went to see
Kennedy even.
Dr. Feelgood.
He saw President Kennedy, and Kennedy even said that he, whatever he was giving him made him feel wonderful, and he didn't see anything wrong with it. Now, that's before he found out what was in the cocktail.
Well, it's probably not too hard to figure out that it was a bunch of amphetamines.
Yeah. Once he heard that, then he changed his tone. But
are you sure he did? Because
it was an article.
He had some severe back pain.
That's why he loved it. Whatever the cocktail was made his back. It's the only thing that made his back feel good.
His back was so bad that he had to try to hide it.
And that's
how bad it really was.
That's why he loved this Dr. Feelgood's concoction.
Well, amphetamines were huge back then.
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood was stripped of his medical license in April of 1975.
As he should have been.
As he should have been. We talked about The Wild Bunch. Big time classic Western. It was the last film that Dekker appeared in. It actually came out, I think, after his death. William Holden was in that, Ernest Borgnine. A lot of big actors were in that movie. And people talked about Albert Dekker on the set of The Wild Bunch as, like, he was the man. Everybody loved him. He was fun to be around. But it wasn't too long after he got back home from filming this movie, The Wild Bunch, he went out to see a play with his fiancee, Geraldine. After they saw the play, he went back home to his apartment and he told Geraldine that he would call her the next day. Apparently, they had plans to see another play the following Friday, and they were set to get married within the next month or so.
He just moved into this apartment within the week.
The week before.
The week before, yeah.
But 2 or 3 days goes by, and Geraldine Saunders has not heard from Albert Dekker. And she goes over to his apartment one morning, and when she gets to his front door, there's a whole bunch of notes on the door.
Yeah, she can see where people stop by, left them notes. Where you at, buddy?
Well,
call me.
There's no cell phones. We don't have texting.
Not back then, man.
Nothing like that.
You had to actually show up somebody's place, not knowing if they were home or not.
So that would have been strange for her.
Sure.
To see all those notes and wonder what's going on. And she writes her own note and she slips it under the door, and she comes back that evening, still hasn't heard from him, and finds that the note that she left is still sitting there in the same place.
It's a little concerning.
So she's really worried at this point. And she goes to get the manager, and as he's unlocking the front door, he realizes that it's just the door that is locked. The deadbolt is not engaged. They're walking around the apartment. They don't see anything out of the ordinary until they tried the bathroom door. And when they opened the door, they realized that it was chained from the inside.
Yeah, so back then, a lot of the bathroom doors, my grandparents had one of these doors too. So the way you locked the bathroom door, you had this little chain up on top, and that would secure the door, but it wasn't going to like be solid secure. But you could open it up just enough. You could, if you had thin enough fingers, you could squeeze them in and pop the chain off. Or if you had like, you know, maybe a pencil or a screwdriver, if you knew how to work it right, with a little practice, you would learn how to unlock that.
So not like super secure, but a way to kind of get some privacy.
Yeah. Ideally, the person coming into the door, as soon as they did that and got a little tension, they would know somebody's in there and back off.
Yeah. Occupado.
I'm in here.
But it was chained from the inside, but they were able to force it open. And Geraldine would later say, quote, "It was so horrible that when I saw the body, I passed out, seeing that it was him."
That would be rough to see somebody you cared about dead.
So she sees Albert Dekker dead in the bathroom.
Yeah. But she's going to see more than that, right?
You're gonna go a lot more.
Yeah. So this is the first time she's seen and even knew that he was into what he was into.
Because Dekker is found kneeling in the tub. He has hypodermic needles in both arms.
And they were said that they were like used dirty needles. Not even clean needles. They were dirty needles.
Which is very strange.
Right.
He has a noose around his neck, but it's not super tight. Not tight enough to like strangle yourself. A scarf is tied over his eyes, and he's got a ball gag in his mouth.
I've never experienced a ball gag. I know you say it's not comfortable.
It didn't look comfortable in Pulp Fiction. Let's put it that way.
Nothing
about that scene was comfortable. But imagine, I mean, you're set to marry this person, this man. Imagine this, Gibbs. You're set to marry this man. You walk in the bathroom, and this is the scene that you find.
It'd be frightening, man. And on so many different levels.
Right, because, like, to your point, and you alluded to it, she doesn't know that he has this side to him, that he's into any of this stuff.
Right.
Now, not only is she finding him dead, but finding him in this manner that is kind of unveiling all of these strange things that he's into.
And you're just touching the surface.
Oh, well, we're going to get into more. I know it took us a while. We wanted to talk about his life a little bit, but this is really the crux of the mystery. Now, there were some metal chains that were attached to, that ball gag or bit or whatever you want to call it. And they were tied back around tightly in the back of his head. He had leather belts wrapped around his neck, his chest. His ankles were tied together behind his back. And then there was a rope that connected where his ankles were tied up to the belt that was around his waist. So, picture somebody essentially hogtied.
Yeah, really. That's what I would say.
From behind.
Yeah.
Ankles up to his waist.
Not a comfortable position.
Not at all. Now, the end of this rope went up through that belt around his waist, up his side, was wrapped around his wrist several times, and he was holding the end of it in his hand. To me, this is not a person that has had this done to them as much as it is a person that wanted this done and has some level of control, I guess.
Right.
I mean, he's holding the rope in his hand.
Yeah, so he's allowing certain things to happen because he has that rope.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I don't get the sense that he was incapacitated with no control whatsoever.
Yeah, I think he had some form of range of motion.
Yes. And written in lipstick on his right cheek was the word whip, WHIP, as well as drawings of the sun. Now, we talked about the 2 needles in his arms. He also had a couple of needle punctures on his buttocks.
He even had these sun rays around each of his nipples, and then the word "make me suck" was written on his throat, and then he had "slave" and "cocksucker" written on his chest. and everything was written perfect. It'd be hard to write those were all that the drawings and the words on your own self perfectly. It'd be an awkward way to, you know what I'm saying?
You'd be writing them essentially almost like backwards.
Yeah, it'd be really hard.
Even if you were looking
do.
in the mirror, that would be next to impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to put that out there.
No, I think it's a good comment to make, but I also want to talk about the fact that we're getting into some weird shit here.
You think? You just realize that now?
We went from Katharine Hepburn on Golden Pond
to cocksucker
written on your chest.
Yeah. Well,
That's
why we tell you not to let the kids listen.
Right. Don't let the kids listen. I mean, it started out as a pretty family-friendly episode, but took a dark turn real fast.
Yeah. So even on his lower abdomen, there is a picture of a vagina that was drawn on his abdomen.
How do you draw a picture of a vagina?
Well, I think you just kind of do the old medical drawing of the,
Okay.
I'm trying to show Mike.
Now you're using
air drawings.
Some crazy hand signals.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to put together here.
It really is.
It's a picture to wrap your mind around, I guess.
Not my cup of tea?
No, it's not mine either. But I go back to the fact of his fiancee walks in on this.
I mean, the shock of finding your future husband dead, then to find out that he's got needles in him. What was he into? To find out that he's got this fantasy world that you had no clue about. Yeah,
it's like a double. It'd have to be a double shock.
Triple.
Now, the coroner would determine that Albert Dekker had been dead for a couple of days, and he was basing that on the discoloration of his lower body, right? So we said that he was kneeling in the tub, right? So with the lividity, blood and gravity and all that, obviously the blood would be pooled up, I would think, in his legs.
Right.
We got some forensic listeners that'll set us straight, but
yeah, real fast.
I know just a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Not more than most people, so.
And me, half of that.
And you half of what normal people know?
Yeah.
Gib knows just half enough to be dangerous.
Just half enough to be dangerous.
And the deputy coroner was quoted as saying, "This one has everything but a vampire bite."
It did have all that.
Well, you would think as a coroner over your career, you would see some very strange things. You would see some strange causes of death and all of that. I would think for a lot of coroners, this would be up there as one of the stranger things they had seen.
I'm sure it's one of the ones they talked about, at the bar with all their buddies.
At the coroner Christmas party?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it ranked up there in the top 3.
So now let's talk a little bit about what they find in Albert Dekker's apartment. And they would find S&M pictures, equipment in the apartment. But like we talked about, there were no signs of forced entry.
No, because remember the front door was the normal lock. The type you turn and then close the door, it's locked.
On the door handle.
Yeah, but the deadbolt wasn't locked.
There was also no signs of a struggle, right? Nothing turned over. Didn't look like anybody had been fighting in there. There were some claims that a very large sum of money, $70,000, and that was a lot of money back then.
That was
in the 60s.
Big chunk of change,
I mean,
man.
it's a lot of money now, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, back then, today's dollars, man. $350,000.
All right, we'll go with it. And along with the money, there were thoughts that Albert Dekker had some very expensive camera equipment and a tape recorder that was missing as well. Now, originally, I think authorities believed that this was some type of an asphyxiation suicide. And there have been a lot of those, Gibbs, in the not so distant past, and a lot of them involve celebrities.
Yeah, they really do.
I mean, David Carradine comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think, he died in a closet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
With something around his neck, and it was thought that it was autoerotic
It was around his neck and then also tied around his boys.
Around his balls?
Around his balls.
You can't say balls?
I guess.
You just said cocksucker.
Oh, well, yeah, it was tied around his nuts.
And you can't say balls?
Them nuts was tied up.
sorry, it's not funny that he died, but it's funny that you all of a sudden can't say the word ball.
Cocksucker. People are going to give me all kind of crap for saying.
Well,
because I never say stuff like that.
No, but that's what was written on his chest.
It was written on his chest.
And we try to give the details.
We did.
But, David Carradine is one that comes to mind. There have been a couple of other famous people that have died the same way. But apparently it is it's a fetish.
But that was Kill Bill, man. That was Bill.
Oh, David Carradine?
Yeah. I remember him from that movie. Have you ever partaked in
some autoerotic asphyxiation?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't like things tied around my neck at all.
Don't touch your neck.
No. I'm extremely claustrophobic. I don't know if you know that. So I don't like to be in tight spaces. I don't even like to be in big crowds.
Yeah, I knew you didn't like big crowds.
Yeah. And so I don't like that feeling of, and I think the thing around the neck would go along with that.
Sure. Yeah.
I just don't like that. It drives me.
That's why you never wear those mock turtlenecks.
No, can't do it.
It's probably a good thing you don't wear a mock turtleneck.
But you mentioned Kill Bill, but wasn't David Carradine also Grasshopper?
Oh, yeah, and Kung Fu. Yeah, he says something like, very good grasshopper, which a lot of people, today wouldn't even know what that means.
But that was pretty old. I mean, that was on a long time ago.
It really was. Yeah, he was just like a Kung Fu traveler, do-good person.
But I think the coroner's going to come back and decide that, this was not a suicide by asphyxiation. There really was no hard evidence to support suicide. And so he ruled the death accidental, which I think would have been the same as what would have happened in the case of like David Carradine or anyone that would be involved in that, I guess what you call autoerotic,
right?
Is asphyxiation. You're not trying to kill yourself.
No, you're just trying to take yourself to out of this world level, but come back.
And then back off.
Yeah.
The problem is it's a fine line, and sometimes people go too far.
Supposedly it's a really high orgasmic zone.
Yeah. I like the way you supposedly, like you don't really know.
And once you go there, it's like like a drug. You
want to do it again,
recreate it again and again, and they say it's rare that you would kill yourself, but obviously, it happens.
I would guess that it happens because at a certain point you go too far and you pass out,
right?
And then you choke to death or something, right? But there would be a lot of people that knew Albert Dekker well that would really defend him after his death. Paul Lucas was an actor friend of Dekker's, and he was completely convinced that this was a murder and would later say in an interview, Al would never have left the world in such shambles. He was a man of culture and breeding. There was another actor named Alfred Lunt that would say, Al has a fine mind and a soul in which unkindness is wholly absent. And these people kind of talk funny.
That's a good quote there.
It is, if you can decipher the whole thing.
That's like old school English.
But basically what they're saying is there's no way that Albert Dekker would have killed himself in this way.
Right.
And known that he would have been found by somebody.
Right. It's not who he is.
No. He would have never wanted to go out that way. So now, Gibbs, I think we need to talk about some of the theories. And the first one we need to talk about is suicide. We've talked about it a little bit, but one of the things we haven't mentioned, Gibbs, is Albert Dekker was a big guy. He was 6'3", probably went 240.
Yeah, that is a healthy guy, man.
And it's not a guy that you would probably be able to overpower very easily.
Well, and they said there was no sign of struggle.
And people point to the fact that it would have been difficult for Albert to kill himself with his hands bound, but I don't know about that. We talked about the fact that it didn't really seem that he was bound against his will. It almost seemed like he was in control of it in some way.
Yeah, because I remember the rope came up through the back and then eventually worked to his hand where it was wrapped around, where he had like some limited range, but he still had some range with the rope.
Well, and also almost seemed like if he could let go of it and maybe get himself out of it, I guess where I was going.
Yeah, I get you.
So there are some people that believe that when people are, attempting to do something like this, they're afraid that they will try to save themselves. So they would bind their hands to prevent them from being able to. Now, we talked about the bathroom door being locked with a chain lock, and people point to this as well as evidence that it would be very difficult for anyone other than the person inside that bathroom to use that chain lock. Now, Gibbs, you talked about being able to unlock it. Much harder to put it on from the outside.
Oh, it would be very difficult. I think it could be done.
It'd be really tough.
But you'd have to really have some practice at it.
I get it if there's a crack in the door and all you have to do is reach in and pop it off.
Right.
But to actually put it on,
it's going to be more challenging.
Yeah, that would be a little bit tougher. During the investigation, police are asking around, and one of the things they want to know is, was Albert Dekker known among the local sex workers? And apparently he was not. He was not a person that, as far as we know, used those type of services. And again, Gibbs, I go back to something that you mentioned. How could he write those words on himself so that they would be legible in very neat handwriting if you're looking straight at him?
Yeah, I think it'd be very tough. I mean, I guess maybe you could pull off maybe the drawing of the vagina on yourself, maybe some of the words on your chest. But how are you going to write on your ass cheeks and write it perfectly?
Seems pretty tough.
I think all of it would be kind of tough, but I think if anything, I don't know how you could do it on your ass cheeks.
Well, and then you have to somehow be able to explain the missing money and the items that were taken, unless he took them out and hid them somewhere and they were never found, and then came back and put himself in the bathroom and did all that. That's just another piece of the puzzle that I think is hard to explain.
And I think that's why you have these different theories that we're talking about.
So then we get into accidental death. And this is more along the lines of what we were talking about as far as the autoerotic asphyxiation. And we know, Gibbs, everybody's got a private life.
Oh, yeah.
That if you knew everything about a person, you'd probably be shocked.
Yeah, I know you're into really weird shit.
Yep, no doubt about it.
And that's just what you tell me.
And that's just the surface, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to scratch any further, man.
We're just skimming the surface.
Yeah, I'm happy right on the surface level. Don't go too deep.
But everybody does. Everybody's got a private life. They have things that they might share with their partner, but they would never tell their friends or their coworkers or anything like that.
Kind of like what you say. What do you let your what fly?
Let your freak flag fly.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
That's what you say a lot.
And I think it's very possible that Albert Dekker was into S&M, bondage, and maybe he had a secret lover. Maybe he did use the services of sex workers and they just weren't able to find any.
Right.
There's some merit to some of those theories. If that was the case, this could have been, some type of tryst, an S&M session that went too far. And whoever was in there with him that was participating, when it went too far, maybe they got scared and left.
Freaked out. Said, "Oh man,"
and thought they would get in trouble.
Yeah,
but then you got to explain how the door got locked, and all these things kind of weave in and out in each of the theories. There's another theory that someone injected Dekker with too much of maybe one of these vitamin cocktails that we talked about. It caused his death, and then afterwards they staged this elaborate scene to try to cover that part up. Because we still don't understand those puncture wounds on his ass.
Yeah, and the two dirty needles in his arms.
And then we get into the autoerotic asphyxiation. And we've talked about it a little bit, but that's where, to me, Gibbs, that the rope in the hand, the fact that he had some level of control over everything kind of comes in for me. Now, like we talked about, things can go wrong. There's tons of examples of it. But Dekker's son, Benjamin, would come out and he would offer up another scenario. And that was that his father's death was the result of an accident that happened during a relationship between two consenting adults. So that's what his son, Benjamin, believed happened. So, take that however you want to take it. Sex play gone wrong, but he thinks it was accidental. And he would go on to be quoted as saying, as long as what they do does not affect someone else's life negatively, a person has a right to do whatever they want to do. It's that simple. I mean, that's what his son would say.
I can agree
and
with
I
that.
believe that.
Yeah.
I agree with that as well. If you're not hurting anybody,
It's none of your business. They can do what they want.
exactly.
It has no impact on you, and it's not hurting anybody, then why do you care?
Now, the other one to get into is murder, right? You got to talk about that. One of the things that would come out is that Albert and his fiancee, they were planning on buying a house.
So that's why he had the $70,000 in cash. He was just banking every check that he was making and not putting it in the bank. But when I say banking, he was the bank. He was keeping the cash because he wanted to put that money down on the house.
And maybe pay cash for the whole thing.
Yeah. And, back then, $70,000, that would have bought you a really nice house.
I would think so in the early 60s.
Sure, yeah.
And I think the thought there is that, was there somebody that knew that he was doing this? As you said, he's squirreling away all this money.
Well, it'd be like if somebody knew today if you had $350,000 of cash underneath your mattress.
Might be tempting for somebody to do something to get their hands on that.
Depending on what type of crowd you hang around.
Yep. We talk about murder a lot. Now, some of it comes down to just plain murderous intent, but a lot of it has to do with money.
A lot of the bad things in this world happen because of money.
And Albert's fiancée, Geraldine, I think she was definitely in the camp of believing that this was a murder. She would come out and question the decision that the coroner made of accidental death. And she firmly believed that her fiancé died in some type of a robbery. And she would go back to this large amount of cash and the fact that, Albert's expensive camera equipment were gone from the apartment. And she would be quoted as saying, I can't say who took it, but foul play based on theft of the money seems to be the answer. I think it was someone that Albert knew and let into the apartment.
Well, I mean, it is strange that such a large amount of cash is missing and his high-end equipment's missing. I think I can see the justification that whatever was going on in the bathroom could have been two people. Like you said, maybe it went wrong. They found a way to lock that door, and then on their way out, they knew the money was there, took all the money, and just left.
Well, and I think that plays into the fact that only the door lock was locked, right? We kind of mentioned that early on as being important.
Right.
And if there's a second person, right, they have to figure out how to lock the bathroom. Let's say they do that. Very easy, though, to lock the door lock, the main lock.
Right.
Because you can just shut the door behind you. You can't do that with the deadbolt.
No.
And that's why I think that part is important. And a lot of people harp on that or look to that fact of saying that's why there was a second person.
I think there's just enough there to make you wonder on all the directions.
Right. But it's a tough one because there's really no way to know. But in kind of summarizing it, Gibbs, Dekker had only lived in that apartment for a week. No one came forward saying that they knew him, that they had had any interaction with him. I don't know if that's really that strange. He was only there a week.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and he was an actor. He was going to try to stay low key, I would think.
Yeah, probably didn't want to get recognized and have people wanting to talk to him, maybe wanting an autograph. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I know how you are when you just go out crokering, man. You wear your baseball cap and your sunglasses, and whatever reason, you put a fake beard on.
Yeah, because people would really recognize me.
Yeah, that's that Fergie.
A lot of money, expensive equipment missing from the apartment. Bathroom door was chained. Front door locked, but not the deadbolt. I think one of the things that's important is that, kind of maybe going against the suicide angle, Dekker had a lot of things going for him. He had a lot of things going on in his life, right? Future plans. He's got a fiancee. They've got plans to be married pretty soon.
Right.
Nobody really comes forward or can offer up any evidence to say that this was a man on the verge or with a reason to commit suicide.
I mean, job's going well, relationships going well, banking some cash. So all the trigger points are pretty happy points right now.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing that we found, some big event that happened in his life where you would say, oh, he would have been really down about that. He'd been divorced for a number of years, at least 4 years.
Yeah.
He had a new fiancée. He was getting married.
Now, he definitely was getting more and more into the vitamin cocktail. I mean, he really was kind of addicted to that high.
So that's important to point out. But I think the things that I have a hard time, really wrapping my brain around are the writing in lipstick and how he would have been able to pull that off.
And where did he get the lipstick from? Because she wasn't living there.
That's a good question.
Did someone bring that lipstick with him? Did he buy the lipstick for himself? I mean, doubtful. So someone had to bring the lipstick to write that on him. So, I mean,
unless he was into some stuff and he liked to wear lipstick.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I know you like your Rocher 5 color that you wear.
What the hell's that?
I don't know. I
don't know, but you know way too much about lipstick, man.
I don't even know if it's a color, man. I just threw it out there.
Still, it sounds reasonable.
Mr. Eyeliner.
Too reasonable. The puncture wounds in his rear end, the rope in his hand, no ransacking, no forced entry. It's just a lot to take in.
And you can see where some family members are saying, we think it could be murder. And other family members are like, it's just accidental death. A private moment happened with some people who went wrong. It's accidental.
And this is why I think this case is interesting, because there's elements of all three.
Yeah, there really is.
In the crime scene. And that's why I think it's hard. And because of that, eventually the police closed the case because it was ruled an accidental death. So what are they investigating? Unless the coroner at some point in time was going to change it from an accidental death to a homicide, the police got nothing to investigate.
Yeah.
And doing the research gives, what comes up is other famous people that were found dead in bathrooms.
Yeah. I thought it was, as you would say, interesting.
But I think I said interesting a minute ago.
Okay.
I think I said it right. So 71, you've got Jim Morrison.
Love the Doors.
Me too. I've been a big fan of the Doors since I was in high school. I mean, obviously, neither one of us are old enough to have been a fan of the Doors when they were doing their thing.
Right.
But, man, to me, that music is almost timeless.
It really is, man.
It's as good. It was good when I was in high school. If I listen to it today, it holds up. Yeah, I really like the Doors as a band. But Jim Morrison was found, in a bathroom. I believe he's in France, wasn't he?
It was in Paris.
Dried blood around his mouth and nose, bruising on his chest. And it was thought that, he had a hemorrhage from tuberculosis.
Yeah, and they never did an autopsy on him. And that's where all the controversy goes with Jim Morrison, right? That he is not really dead, right? People tried to dig up the gravesite. So
didn't they have to move it around?
I think so. They had to do something because people were trying to dig it up to see if he was actually buried.
Solve the mystery.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, he was also doing a lot of drugs. I think a lot of people thought, it was an overdose.
He did. Back in him and Hendrix and Joplin.
77, you had Elvis. He died in the bathroom in Graceland.
He did, man. Sitting on the toilet and vomited and then got off the toilet and fell on the floor, and that was it.
Now, Elvis is my man.
Yeah.
Love Elvis.
Get yourself some Elvis, huh?
Lenny Bruce, he OD'd in his bathroom.
Oh, Lenny Bruce, man. He's actually in a song. I can't remember who sings about him, but
it's REM.
Is it REM?
Lenny Bruce is not afraid.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, yeah.
He was a comic.
Satire type of comic?
Yeah, he was a comedian.
Yeah.
He was an influence for a lot of comedians now, to come after him.
To come out, yeah.
And then the one that really got me was Orville Redenbacher.
Yeah.
Died of a heart attack in his bathroom.
In his bathroom.
In 1995.
Good old Orville.
How old was Orville Redenbacher in 1995?
Man, it'd be pretty up there because isn't his picture on the box?
He was old when he was doing those commercials when we were kids.
I kind of thought him and Colonel Sanders were cousins.
Cousins?
Yeah. They look the same. Similar.
Yeah. I don't know. We could look it up, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think they are.
No, I know they're not cousins. I meant look it up to see how old he was.
Yeah, no, that's right. That means you have to open up Google, and that takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, and it takes away from the fluidity.
Yeah, somebody will look it up anyway.
They'll tell us.
Yeah,
we like it that way.
We do.
I just thought it was kind of a tie-in. Famous people dying in their bathroom.
I guess if you're gonna go in your bathroom.
Why?
That was a pun.
That was a play on words.
Yeah.
If you got to go
in your bathroom. Didn't like it.
I give it a C, solid C.
And all right.
But that's the case of Albert Dekker.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty intriguing on some of the parts there, and it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder what really happened.
Yeah, it's a different type of case for us. There's not a lot of information out there,
right?
But like you said, the actual circumstances around the death are just so intriguing that we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
We got some voicemails, Gibbs. You want to do those?
I always love voicemails.
Love voicemails. Let's hear them.
Dude, Mike, Gibby, I love this podcast. True crime all the time and Unsolved. I'm a new listener. I've been listening about 2 weeks, and I've pretty much ran through all of the shows. I have a bone to pick with Mike, though. I like you, man, but you got to step your game up. I'm a Duke fan from Durham, true blue Duke. Cannot stand Kentucky, but I'll give you some slack because you put out a great podcast, 2 podcasts. So I just wanted to give you a shout out and just let y'all know that you got a new fan in me. I'm trying to turn other people on, but I don't really know a whole lot of people that like podcasts, let alone true crime podcasts. My wife thinks I'm weird because I listen to true crime all the time. She gets a little sketched out sometimes, but yeah, man, y'all are doing a fantastic job. I'm gonna go on a limb other than Sword and Scale. Y'all have the best true crime podcast I've ever listened to. So, yeah, that should mean something. And I think y'all should be ranked even with Sword and Scale just because I love them so much. But since y'all put out 2 podcasts, I'm gonna say y'all are ranked right there with them. Can't put either one of y'all first or second. So, take it easy, Roger from Durham, North Carolina.
All right, great voicemail from Roger. And I just think it's natural. If you're a Duke fan, you hate Kentucky. And if you're a Kentucky fan, you hate Duke. That's just the way it is.
I like the rivalry between you two.
It is a rivalry, and they don't even play each other that often.
Well, didn't somebody from our area around here play for Duke?
Yeah, Luke Kennard.
Yeah, He was a local boy here.
Yeah, just one town over.
And we donated him.
Yeah, when I grew up, I played basketball with all of Luke's, like his dad and his uncles and stuff. They were all good players.
Is that your connection?
It's my connection to Duke. It's my only connection.
Your only connection.
The only connection I want.
Hey, and I appreciate how he puts us up on that high level of podcast too.
Yeah, it's high praise, and it's very much appreciated. And the voicemail was longer. We just had a lot of long voicemails lately, so I've had to cut some of them down for time.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Gibby. This is Tia from Oregon, and just finished up the episode last night, or part 1 on Richard Ramirez. And I think that's maybe the first one that left me like a little too shaked to go to bed. Pretty rough. I wanted to thank you guys for everything that you do, all of us that you keep company, with your shows. And my husband is not a true crime fan, but he has a coworker that sounds just like Gibby. And so sometimes I make him listen to some of your banter because it has us both in stitches laughing. So thanks for that. So once again, thanks a million, and can't wait to hear the next part of Richard Ramirez. And Keep your own time ticking. Thanks.
All right. Awesome voicemail. Also long. I had to cut down for time.
So I think it's great that her husband's coworker sounds like Gibby, a.k.a. me. So maybe I can take a vacation and he can just call in and do my part.
Oh, on the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking he was going to go to work for you.
Well, that'd be cool too.
Like your regular
If
job.
I thought he could handle, what I do, he could be on my
Well, he
meetings.
could definitely handle this. He'd just sit there and go,
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just, oh, just busting you.
You hurt me.
Hey guys, this is Donnie. I just cannot express how much I really enjoy your podcast. I listen to it when I'm out doing my evening walks as well as my commute to and from work and wherever else I may have a lengthy drive. It is so much above all of the other true crime type shows I've heard on podcasts. First of all, you sound like you're actually using radio quality equipment and microphones, and it doesn't sound like you're talking into a speakerphone with one of the other guests 5 miles away trying to listen to what he's saying. So I appreciate the professionals of the show, the sound clips. It's all very, very, very good. And I finally made my first donation to the show and hope to make some more in the future. So keep up the good work, both you guys, and whoever else is involved in the show. And also on the Unsolved portion of your show, don't forget Stacey Madison and Susan Smalley. Thanks.
Oh, great voicemail, Donnie. We appreciate it. We appreciate the kind words. We really appreciate the support. That's awesome, man.
And I really appreciate the fact that you recognize what I do behind the scenes with the editing, the microphones, the sound of things that I do. You
just gave yourself away by saying the sound things that I do. You sound very technical. What kind of microphones do we use?
Good ones. Really good ones here. They got the little sponge thing around the actual microphone part. Clearly Mike does all that, But yeah, Mike invested in some good equipment and makes me sound a whole lot better than I do in real life.
Well, and I think we talked about it on maybe one of the Q&A shows or something, but it was kind of a big leap for us, right? We put a lot of money up front.
Yeah, but you're a baller, man.
Not knowing that anybody would listen.
I know.
But it turned out to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think we did invest in the sound quality and people like it. So
I would say, and you could tell the difference really if you listen to episode 1 through
6, maybe
4 or 5,
4 or
something
5.
like that. That's when I would have to call in through Skype and do it that way. And then we got the studio and the good equipment, and it just got better. And
yeah, back then I was the only one that had the good microphone.
Yeah,
you were actually calling in on Skype.
I know it. Now, the only thing we need now is some better chairs because I sit in this chair for a very long time.
Hey, buy your own damn chair.
Man, I just want to show up, sit down, and do all my talking.
All right, Donnie, appreciate it.
I don't know why I always get so nervous that someone's going to answer and I'm going to talk to a real person. But hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Lauren from Houston again. Thanks for playing my voicemail on episode 63. It made me realize how much I use the word y'all. But I also realized that I have swagger, so that's cool. Anywho, my now husband and I got married this past Sunday, and we've been thinking about our honeymoon. And you mentioned CrimeCon on this week's episode of the Unsolved episode, and we just think that it would be so cool to have CrimeCon as our first honeymoon stop and to get the chance to meet both of you. So just wanted to thank y'all for mentioning that at the right time and to wait for the code. We will definitely do that. So from Lauren in Houston, stay safe and keep your own time ticking. Bye.
All right. Great voicemail from Lauren.
All I know is that she's got some swag. And they're coming to CrimeCon. And they're probably going to get Team Gibby tattoos.
Oh, yeah. She didn't say that, but you're inferring that from the voicemail.
I'm going to be pretty persuasive.
Okay.
When they're in town.
Well, I will tell you this, Lauren. If you come with your husband, Gibby and I will definitely buy you a beer.
Absolutely.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Make sure you use the code TCAT to save on your CrimeCon pass.
That's right.
All right, Gibbs. I think we got to shut it down, man.
Shut her down?
Shut it down. That is another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
Stay safe and keep your own time ticking.